Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel. It is 4:13 a.m., Sunday, September the 14th. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend so far. I certainly am. I have my big blue mug of coffee. And today, I woke up this morning thinking, do I even want to do a video today? It's been an odd week, hasn't it? This assassination of Charlie Kirk, this is a seismic shift in the way things are going in our society. There's a demarcation line between the left and the right. I did a video yesterday where I showed a chasm in between the left and right. And can that rift be closed to get our sides together? There's been a lot of stuff going on this week to talk about. I'm terribly disappointed in my Premier Danielle Smith for continuing to wait for Mark Carney and the Liberal Party to decide my province's fate. The only time I really talked about this was on Corey Morgan's show the other day when I said she needs to call a referendum. We're going to discuss this on Tuesday with Dr. Dennis Modry from the Alberta Prosperity Project. There's lots to talk about. That video will go up probably on Wednesday morning. But it has been an interesting week. I just want to quickly tell you a story. I used to be a radio announcer, and I did that for about 35 years. I'm retired from radio now. And I did everything over the years. And my favorite job came later in my career, probably 20, 25 years in. I got a job on a show that ended up being called The John Bolton Show in Cornwall, Ontario. Now, this is a small market, but it was a unique program, which I was very proud of. Played a bit of music, but it was mostly interviews. And I talked to everybody. It was awesome. I did 2 or 3 interviews every hour on my program. So I was doing 9 or maybe 10 interviews a day on my program. So up to 50 people a week. And I talked to astronauts and musicians and authors, and I spoke to a lot of politicians. I've got one of the interviews on my channel here where I spoke to Justin Trudeau long before he became the leader of the Liberal Party. I spoke with Stephen Harper, Prime Minister of the country. I spoke with Dalton McGuinty, who was the Premier of the province at one time. I spoke with Elizabeth May, who was a leader of the Green Party. I spoke with Jack Layton, who was the head of the NDP, who I found to be a very reasonable man, despite the fact I hated everything that he believed in. And I was able to talk to people at that time. And then I moved out here to Calgary because my wife lost her job. We wanted to change. I ended up being a fill-in radio announcer here at a local radio station, which was a talk station. And I was very proud of the work I did there because I became the go-to fill-in guy when anybody was away. So I got to fill in on all the programs. And I got to talk politics. And being a larger market, I probably talked to people a little higher up, although I did talk to premiers and prime minister on my old program. But it was a little more high-profile program because it's in a bigger city. But I found out later that I didn't have the temperament to talk to people anymore like I did when I was a little bit younger. I said to my wife, I don't want to do this anymore. It just depresses me. And that's what I found over the last several days. It's been rather depressing. I've done videos in the morning and I've tuned out. I've gone about my business because I saw the negativity that was out there, but I've been very optimistic about the way my side, the more right-wing side, the more conservative side has been handling this situation. Not calling for violence, but calling for action. We need to speak up for what we believe in. Je suis Charlie, I am Charlie. Whether you agreed with everything Charlie Kirk said, and I didn't, I believed in what he did, and that was speak to people and talk to people and get their opinions, even though nowadays I find that harder and harder. I'm a lot older than Charlie Kirk. He was half my age, but was a very wise young man, and he's gone now. But I've been very, very feeling optimistic about the way people have been handling things, and there's been something that's come through quite a few times over the last week. And I've said it here, I'm a free speech absolutist, but when it comes to violence, that's when you lose your freedom of speech. And there's been a lot of calls for violence from the left this week. And I remember seeing this. This goes back to the 12th, so it's a couple of days ago. This is Count Dankula, who, by the way, was almost canceled for something he did, for his speech. I'm not going to get into it, but look up Count Dankula and his dog, and it'll probably pop up. It's incredible, but check it out. But this is the logic I've seen over the last week. The irony of people crying about losing their jobs over their speech because they said spiteful things about a man who lost his life over his speech is a pretty effing funny turn of events. Interesting, eh? I saw this pop up yesterday. This came up on my wife's Facebook feed, and Elon Musk pointing this out. So up at the top here in 2008, my fellow liberal, so you've got me just left of center, and then the conservative over here on the right. In 2012, my fellow liberal is running to the left, and me has gotten closer to the center. In 2021, the woke progressive is now calling people bigots, and the guy who was once left of center is now over on the right. And this is where we've come just the other day. You've got the woke progressive over here, and he's further to the right, and the conservatives are way over here. And this is what's happening in society today. I want to play this little clip by Konstantin Kizin again. This was one of the best things I've heard all week. I'm not going to play this whole clip, but the beginning of it is very, very important to hear. So let's hear what Konstantin has to say. Trigonometry is his channel on YouTube. Check it out. Be sure to subscribe to it with Piers Morgan.
A great mentor of mine once told me, he said, Konstantin, the greatest insights come from looking at what is not there. And the one thing I have noticed that hasn't been there in my mind, you tell me if this is different for you, Piers, over the last few days, I've had no expectation that there would be burning, looting, riots in the streets, attacks on police officers across America or Britain or the rest of the West. We haven't seen any of that, and we haven't expected any of that. And that's because political violence has been normalized on these far extremes of the left.
And Konstantin's a very logical person. He doesn't always take the right's side on these things. He tries to be logical about the way he thinks. But I saw this online as well. We are not the same. Charlie Kirk's Vigil versus George Floyd's riot. And this is the kind of things that happen when the left doesn't like things. They resort to violence. And I said the other day, if somebody of Charlie Kirk's influence had been shot the other day, what you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen surely would have happened. Now, talking about Charlie Kirk's Vigil, I'm here in Calgary. There is a vigil for Charlie Kirk at Calgary City Hall today from 7 until 8:30 p.m. They say bring signs and candles, go out there and be peaceful. I do not know if people from the left will show up, but these people can be violent, go out there and be peaceful. Unfortunately, and I want to go to this, my wife and I have a previous engagement and I can't be there. I really wanted to go to this, but I wanted to let you know about this. 7 to 8:30 tonight, Calgary City Hall. I hope you can go there, and I'll be certainly watching for video tomorrow. But the negativity is out there. I'm going to show this to you right now, and there is a good side to this. I'm going to show you a clip right after this that shows you how maybe the left is waking up as well. Here's a clip of Donald Trump out for dinner. There's J.D. Vance, and he's got, people out for dinner with him. But listen to what the people are saying in the background.
Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time!
I don't want to get into it again, but if this is the kind of thing you're yelling at the leader of your country and yelling at people who disagree with you, is it any wonder that people end up picking up a gun? And then there's this. Bill Maher, who is really somebody who isn't a great friend of people on the right. At least he has the sense to realize that this kind of thing has to stop. Listen to what he has to say here. And again, there's some positivity to take out of what happened with Charlie Kirk this week.
This shit has to stop too. He went out to dinner. I wouldn't have done that. In Washington, D.C., okay, and people started to gather around him and they were chanting, "You're the Hitler of our time." Okay, first of all, assholes, he's not Hitler. Okay, an insult to everybody in the Holocaust to begin with. Second of all, calling somebody Hitler makes it a lot easier to justify things like assassination. Let's put a shitload of that away, shall we?
Good for Bill Maher on saying this. In fact, Bill Maher not too long ago sat down with Donald Trump and he said that he didn't hate the guy. So this is good news. This is something good that is coming out of this. I hope we can go further, but the hatred is still on online, and that's why I've been staying away from this. Then I saw this. It's not related to the Charlie Kirk thing, although it was brought up many times. And they were walking around in London with pictures of Charlie Kirk. Tommy Robinson had a, take back a country march. Look at the number of people who showed up, because these people have had enough when it comes to their country being flooded with illegal immigration and with immigration. And it's unbelievable the number of people who showed up for this. People are starting to wake up in our society. And I think if something good comes out of Charlie Kirk, I think that certainly is the case here in Canada, in the United States of America, and in the West in general. But look at the number of people here. And as Tommy says in this tweet, The Guardian reported 110,000 at our London rally today, yet literally had their own helicopter showing the millions of patriots. I've never been good at counting the number of people in crowds, but boy, there were a lot of people who showed up in London who are really pissed off and want their voices heard. Again, if you can, head out to the Vigil here in Calgary, 7 to 8:30 at City Hall tonight for the Charlie Kirk Vigil. Thanks a lot for watching. A little bit of advice. Take this thing, put it away today. Get away from your computer. If you can, go out for a bike ride with your family, your wife, walk your dog. Stay away from the negativity. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll get back into it real deep tomorrow for sure. We can get back to criticizing the Liberal government and things going on here in Canada. Have yourself a great Sunday. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. I'll see you in the next one.